Hey everyone, in this video we will learn how to implement Lodash omit function. So our implementation will be slightly different from the actual omit function. In the actual omit function, it can take a array of paths. So here we can take multiple paths that can be removed from the object. Like here for the example, we are taking password, username, and both password and username can be removed from the object. But our implementation will take only one path. Here we will take only one path and we will remove it from the object. And also the path can be nested. So it can take a.b.d or a.b.c bracket 1. Okay. So this is what we have to implement. Now let's take some example and see what our function will do. So in the first example, we have to remove a.b.d from our object obj. Okay. So our function will check for the first key a, if it exists or not. If it exists, then it go inside it. Okay. And look for b, and inside b it will look for d, and d is the last item, so it will try to remove d key from this object, but d does not exist, so it will simply do nothing. Okay, so our function will complete. Now let's see this example. Here we have to remove a.b.c dot 1 from our object. Okay, so first of all it will get this array, this object, sorry, and it will look a into it. So this part, okay, for the first time. In the second time, our object will become this. In it we have to see b. For the third time, our object will become this. Okay, and inside of it we have to see c, and for the next time our object will become this, and from it we have to remove the element at first index. So these two will get removed. Okay, so here also we will use recursion, because in each iteration our object will become smaller and smaller, and our path will also become smaller. Like in the first case, in the first iteration, the first element will get omitted. Now let's see the logic of our function. So the logic will be similar to what we are doing in our last two previous videos, Lodash omit and Lodash set. If you have not watched them, then you can refer to the playlist. Okay, so logic will be, first of all we will check this path if it is array or not. If it is array, then we will do nothing, and if it is not array, if it is a string, then we will convert it into array by splitting by dot check path. If it is not array, then convert it into an array by splitting by dot. And let's see this array, path array. Okay, now we will check store the first element of this array into a variable named this key. Store first element of this array in this key. Okay, after that we will check the length of this array. If the length of this array is 1, then that will be our base case of our recursion, and if its length is greater than 1, then we will call our function again with different arguments. Okay, so let's write it. Check the length of the path array. If length is 1, so it will have base case of recursion. So here our recursion will end. If length is 1, then we have to check one more thing, that if the object which is coming is an array or object. So if object is object, obj is object, then we will use different method to delete that key. Otherwise we will use different method to for an array. If we will use different method, if array object is array, then we will different method. And what will the method for object? It will be delete this, means object dot this key. Okay, and for an array we will use splice, obj dot splice splice this key and one element. Okay, so why are we using splice here and not slice? Because a splice mutate the original object, so it changed the original object. And but what does slice do? Slice return a new object after changing that object. Okay, so that's why here we are using splice, because we have to change the original object which is coming from the argument. Okay, and if its length greater than 1, then we will call our function recursively omit object dot this key, and we will remove the first element from the array, path array dot slice. Here we are using slice because in each iteration we have to send a new array in the arguments. Okay, so here we are removing the first element from the path array, and we will send this path array, updated path array, to this argument. Okay, so this is the logic. Now let's get to the coding part. So let path array, this part I have already done in my previous videos, so you can watch them. So array dot is array path, then we will return simply path. Otherwise we will break the string. Before breaking we have to replace open bracket with dot and close bracket with empty string, then split by dot. Okay, so this will convert our string path to path array. Now we will store first element in this key, path array this key. Okay, and now we will check the length of our path array. If path array dot length equals to 1, this will be our base case. So here we will now check this object is array or not. If array dot is array, then we will splice that key from that object. Okay, else we will delete that key from that object. Okay, fine. Else we will call our function recursively with that key and path array dot remove. We will omit the first element from the array. Okay, and one more thing, here we have to check if this key, like the first element, is a number or string. Okay, so I have already done it in my previous video, so I'm doing it again here. Number, okay, so this number function will try to convert this to a number. If it is possible, then it will convert it, otherwise it will give NaN, and in case of NaN it will take the default value. Okay, so yeah, that's all. Now let's test it. So in the first example, we have to remove a.b.d from our object. Okay, let's run it. Node Lodash omit. Okay, so actually we can see that in our object we don't have a.b.d, like we have a.b.c but not a.b.d, so nothing will happen here. Okay, this is a spelling mistake here. REP LSE replace, but here ACE. Okay, so here we have to remove a.b.d from this object, and that key does not exist, so nothing will happen. So it simply returns that complete object. Now for the second example, we have to remove a.b.c.1 means first element of this array. So this two should get removed. Let's check it. Okay, now here we can see that a.b.c, and after that only 1 and 3 is there, 2 is not there. Okay, so it worked. Now let's remove the complete object. Here remove a. Okay, so our object will become empty. Okay. Okay, so yeah, that's all. Thank you for watching.